My name is Iris Sapphire. I'm 32. At 6:47 on a Tuesday morning in April, I was standing in my kitchen in Chicago, staring at an email that made my hands go completely numb. The subject line read, "Urgent. Federal investigation. Identity theft alert." The sender was the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. They were investigating a $12 million embezzlement case at Apex Solutions, and according to their records, the primary suspect was me. I read it 3 times. The words didn't change. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Iris Sapphire? A woman's voice, clipped and professional. Yes. This is Special Agent Morrison with the FBI. We need you to come in for questioning regarding fraudulent wire transfers totaling $12.3 million. Can you come to our Chicago office today at 2 p.m.? My coffee cup was still warm in my hand. I could smell the French roast. Outside my window, the sunrise was turning Lake Michigan gold. Everything was normal, except nothing was normal. There's been a mistake, I said. My voice sounded far away. I don't work at Apex Solutions. I've never worked there. Ma'am, we have documentation with your social security number, your email address, and your CPA license number authorizing payments to multiple shell corporations. We'd like to hear your side. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I told Agent Morrison I'd be there. I hung up. I sat down at my kitchen table and tried to breathe. Then my phone rang again. My mother. I hadn't spoken to her in 14 years, not since the day I turned 18 and walked out of their house with everything I owned in 2 garbage bags. But her name was on my screen now, and some stupid part of me thought maybe she was calling to warn me, to help. I answered. Iris. Her voice was syrup sweet, the way it always got when she wanted something. Sweetheart, I heard you're in some trouble. How did you... Declan told us. He works at Apex, you know, VP of Operations. He's so worried about you, honey, we all are. My brother, the golden child, the one who got the college fund, the car, the down payment on his first house, the one whose name was never followed by the word disappointment. Mom, I don't know what's happening, but I didn't... Oh, Iris, she sighed, like I was a child who'd broken a vase. You always had such big dreams. Yale, forensic accounting, all those fancy ambitions, but sometimes people get in over their heads. Sometimes they make mistakes. The room tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying that we're your family. We can help you through this. Your father has connections. We can make this go away if you just cooperate. Come home. We'll figure it out together. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped the phone. I didn't do anything. Of course not, sweetheart, of course not. But you know how these things look, your name all over those documents. It's just easier if we present a united front. Family takes care of family, Iris. Even when, especially when, one of us makes a terrible choice. I hung up. Let me take you back 14 years to the day I found out about Yale. I was 18. I'd been working double shifts at Rosie's Diner on North Clark Street for 8 months, saving every tip, every dollar. My hands smelled like bleach and fryer oil. My feet ached so badly I'd started sleeping with them elevated on pillows, but I had $2,847 in a savings account I'd opened without telling my parents, and I had a secret. I'd applied to Yale, full academic scholarship. I'd filled out every form in the school library, printed my essays on the computer there, mailed everything from the post office 6 blocks from our house. I hadn't told my mother because she would have said it was a waste of time. I hadn't told my father because he would have agreed with her. I hadn't told Declan because Declan only cared about things that benefited Declan. The acceptance letter came to the house on a Saturday. I was at work. My mother called me at 11:04 a.m. Iris, you need to come home. Now. I'm working until 4. Now, Iris. I told my manager I had a family emergency. I ran the 8 blocks home because I couldn't afford cab fare. When I burst through the front door, sweating and terrified, my mother was sitting at the dining room table with my father and Declan. The Yale envelope was open in front of her. "Sit down," my father said. I sat. My mother pushed the letter across the table to me. "What is this?" My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I picked up the letter. "Congratulations, full academic scholarship, financial aid package, $67,000 per year, housing included." "I got in," I whispered. Declan laughed, actually laughed. "You? Yale? That's hilarious." "Enough," my mother said. She looked at me with an expression I'd seen 1,000 times before, the one that said I was the thing she had to tolerate, not the thing she chose. "You're not going. It's a full scholarship. It won't cost you anything." "You're 18 years old," my father interrupted. "You live under our roof. You follow our rules." "But You can work at that diner," my mother said. Her voice was blade sharp now. "You can contribute to this household. You can help your brother finish his degree at Northwestern. He's going to need support, real support, not some selfish fantasy from a girl who can barely keep her room clean." I looked at Declan. He was smiling at his phone, already bored with the conversation. "This is my chance," I said. My voice cracked. "This is my one chance." My mother stood up. She picked up the letter, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it in the trash. "Your chance," she said, "is to be useful. That's the only chance you've ever had." I should have grabbed the letter. I should have run. I should have called Yale right then and told them I was coming no matter what. I didn't. I sat there while my mother made dinner. I sat there while Declan talked about his summer internship at some finance company. I sat there while my father told me I'd work full-time at the diner and contribute $400 per month to household expenses starting immediately. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from Yale's admissions office. "Ms. Sapphire, this is Dean Patricia Harmon. I'm calling about your enrollment status." My stomach dropped. Yes? "I received a call from your mother last week. She informed us that you've decided not to attend Yale and that you'd like to withdraw your acceptance." The room went silent except for the blood rushing in my ears. "She what?" "Your mother called us on May 3rd. She said you'd found a job opportunity you preferred and wouldn't be enrolling. She was quite insistent. I'm calling to confirm that this is accurate." I couldn't speak. I physically could not make words come out of my mouth. Dean Harmon's voice softened. "Ms. Sapphire, are you there?" I... My throat closed. "I didn't know she called." There was a long pause. "I see. Ms. Sapphire, are you safe?" "I'm fine." The lie tasted like metal. "I'm sorry, I have to go." I hung up. I walked out of the house. I walked 23 blocks to the library, and I sat in the parking lot, and I cried so hard I threw up in the bushes. Then I went back to work, because what else could I do? I was 18. I had $2,847. I had nowhere to go. My mother never mentioned the phone call, not once. She just started asking when I'd be giving her my first household contribution. The FBI meeting was in a gray building downtown with security scanners and fluorescent lights that hummed. Agent Morrison was exactly what I'd pictured. Mid-40s, neat suit, eyes that had seen every lie ever told. She spread documents across the table. Bank statements, wire transfer authorizations, email threads. All with my name, my social security number, my CPA license that I'd earned after 4 years of night school and a 96-hour exam. "These transfers started 18 months ago," Morrison said. "Small amounts at first, $15,000, $30,000, then larger, $200,000, $450,000, all to LLCs registered in Delaware with no physical business address. Can you explain?" I looked at the signatures. They looked like mine. They were perfect forgeries. "I've never seen these documents before today." "Ms. Sapphire, your email address is on the authorization form." "What email address?" She showed me. iris.sapphire.1992@gmail.com. That's not my email, I said. My email is iris.sapphire.cpa@gmail.com. Look at the sent date. That Gmail account was created in 2010. I would have been 18. I didn't have Gmail then. I had Yahoo. Morrison wrote something down. Do you know anyone at Apex Solutions? No. Your brother, Declan Sapphire, is vice president of operations there. My hands went cold. I haven't spoken to my brother in 14 years. Why is that? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Because my family is the reason I didn't go to Yale. And if I'm understanding this correctly, my family is now the reason the FBI thinks I'm a criminal. I told her everything, the withdrawn scholarship, the phone call from my mother that morning, the 14 years of silence. By the time I finished, Morrison had filled 4 pages of notes. I'm going to need documentation, she said. Anything that can establish your location and activities during the time these transfers occurred. Employment records, tax returns, badge swipe data if you have it. Everything. I worked at Becker and Rhodes, one of the top forensic accounting firms in the country. I'd built my entire career on creating unbreakable audit trails. I knew exactly what she needed. I can have it to you by tomorrow morning. The investigation took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of my name being connected to fraud. 6 weeks of dodging calls from reporters. 6 weeks of showing up to work every day knowing my colleagues had seen the news. But I had my alibi. During the 18 months those transfers occurred, I'd been lead auditor on 11 different cases. I had time-stamped badge swipes showing me entering secure facilities in Chicago, New York, and Boston. I had signed audit reports. I had emails sent from my work account with red receipts. I had plane tickets, hotel reservations, expense reports reviewed and approved by my managing partner. On March 7th at 2:14 p.m., when someone using my name had authorized a $680,000 wire transfer from Apex Solutions, I'd been testifying as an expert witness in a federal fraud trial in Manhattan. There was a court transcript with my name on every other page. I presented everything to Morrison in a 3-inch binder with tabs and a summary memo. She looked at me across the table. You didn't do this. No. But someone went to significant effort to make it look like you did. Yes. Someone with access to your personal information, your SSN, your old email patterns, your professional credentials. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. We're expanding the investigation, Morrison said. We'll be looking at your brother and your parents. 3 days later, my mother showed up at my office. I was in the middle of a meeting with a client, a healthcare CEO whose CFO we were investigating for billing fraud, when my assistant knocked on the glass door of the conference room. Iris, there's someone here to see you. She says she's your mother and it's urgent. The CEO looked at me. My managing partner, David Chen, looked at me. Everyone at the table looked at me. Excuse me, I said. I'll be right back. My mother was standing in the lobby. She'd dressed carefully, navy suit, pearls, the kind of outfit that said, respectable professional woman. But her eyes were wrong. They were too bright, too desperate. Iris, honey, we need to talk. I'm working. This will only take a minute. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Her hand hung in the air between us for a second before she pulled it back. You need to drop this investigation, she said. Her voice was low and urgent. You need to tell the FBI it was a misunderstanding. Tell them you made a mistake. I stared at her. I didn't make a mistake. Someone used my identity to commit federal crimes. It's complicated. It's not complicated. It's fraud. My mother's face did something strange. Her mouth trembled. Her eyes filled with tears that appeared so fast they had to be real. Iris, please. Your brother made some bad choices, but he's your brother. He's family. If this goes forward, he'll go to prison. Your father will go to prison. I'll go to prison. The lobby was full of people. Junior analysts, senior partners, the security guard who always said good morning. They were all watching. "You withdrew my Yale application," I said. My voice was steady, quiet. "You called the dean of admissions and you told her I didn't want to go. You never told me. You let me think it was just over, that I'd lost my chance because I wasn't good enough. I was protecting you. You were protecting Declan. You needed me to work so I could help pay for his degree." "That's not—" She pressed a hand to her chest. Her voice broke. "I did what I thought was best for this family. I tried so hard, Iris, and you still resent me." I looked at her, really looked at her. She was 62 years old. Her hair was gray at the roots where the dye had grown out. She had lines around her mouth from years of that exact expression, wounded, misunderstood, the victim of ungrateful children. And I felt nothing. "Ma'am," the security guard said gently, "you need to leave." My mother looked at him, then at me. "This is how you treat your own mother?" "This is how I treat someone who committed fraud using my name." Something flickered across her face, something that wasn't sadness, it was rage. "You've always thought you were better than us," she hissed. "Always so smart, so special. But you're nothing without this job, nothing without that fancy title. And when the FBI finishes their investigation, everyone will know exactly what you are." David Chen appeared at my elbow. "Security, please escort this woman out." My mother left, but her words stayed. I went back to the conference room. I apologized to the CEO. I finished the meeting. I reviewed financial statements until 9 p.m. Then I went home and I sat on my couch and I didn't cry. Something had hardened inside me. Something that had been soft and hoping for 14 years had finally calcified into something else. Truth. 2 months later, the FBI arrested Declan at his office. They arrested my father at his accounting firm in Evanston. They arrested my mother at her yoga class. The scheme was exactly what I'd suspected. Declan, as VP of Operations at Apex Solutions, had created fake vendor accounts. My father's shell corporations, registered under names like Apex Consulting Partners and Solutions Management LLC, received payments for services never rendered. My mother had handled the money laundering, filing false tax returns, moving money through accounts in the Cayman Islands and Luxembourg. They'd stolen $12.3 million over 18 months. And when Apex's board hired an outside forensic accounting firm to investigate the discrepancies, my parents had panicked. They'd needed a fall guy, someone with the credentials to make it believable, someone disposable. They'd chosen me. They'd created email accounts in my name. They'd used my SSN from old tax returns they'd kept. They'd forged my signature on authorization forms. They'd fabricated an entire digital trail pointing to me as the mastermind. If I hadn't had an ironclad alibi, if I hadn't spent the last 8 years building a meticulous professional record, I would be in federal prison right now. The trial was set for November. My lawyer, Rebecca Chu, had been clear about what to expect. "They're going to try to make a deal," she said. "They're going to offer to plead guilty to lesser charges if you agree not to pursue civil damages. They're going to ask you to testify on their behalf about their character." Will I have to? No. You're the victim here. You don't owe them anything. But I knew my mother. I knew she wouldn't go quietly. On a Wednesday in October, the week before jury selection, I was working late at the office. It was 8:47 p.m. The floor was empty except for me and the cleaning crew and the night security guard. I heard voices in the lobby, my mother's voice. I stood up, walked to my office door, looked out. She was there. So was my father. So was Declan. They'd gotten past security somehow, probably told them they were family, that it was an emergency, and now they were standing in the middle of the office lobby under the harsh LED lights, looking lost and desperate and exactly like what they were, criminals who'd run out of options. My mother saw me first. "Iris," her voice cracked. "Please, just talk to us." I should have called security. I should have walked back into my office and locked the door. I didn't. I walked out into the lobby. I stood 15 feet away from them, close enough to see Declan's bloodshot eyes, my father's trembling hands, my mother's smudged mascara. "You have 60 seconds," I said. My mother took a step forward. "We made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But we're still your family. We're still the people who raised you. You didn't raise me. You tolerated me until I was old enough to be useful. That's not fair. You withdrew my Yale acceptance without telling me. You made me work full-time at 18 so Declan could finish Northwestern. You took $400 a month from my paychecks for household expenses while he got a car for his birthday. We did what we could, and then, when your fraud scheme started falling apart, you framed me for it. You used my name, my credentials. You were willing to send me to prison to save yourselves." My father spoke for the first time. His voice was thin and reedy. We panicked. "We didn't think they'd actually come after you. We thought—" "You thought I was nothing," I said. "You thought I was nobody. You thought I could be sacrificed because I've always been the one who didn't matter." My mother's face crumpled. "Iris, please. We can fix this. We just need you to tell the prosecutor that we were under financial stress, that we made bad decisions but we're not bad people, that we're a family who made mistakes. You do not want a daughter, Mom. You want an accomplice." The words hung in the air. My mother stared at me. My father looked at the floor. Declan's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping. The security guard appeared from around the corner. "Ma'am, these people need to leave." "Wait," my mother started. "Now," I said. They left. The glass doors closed behind them. The lobby was silent except for the hum of the ventilation system. I stood there for 5 minutes. Then I went back to my office. I sat down at my desk. I looked at the Lake Michigan view from my window, 18 floors up, corner office, the view I'd earned with 14 years of night school and weekend shifts and believing I could be more than what they'd told me I was. And I called Rebecca Chu. "I want them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law," I said. "No deals, no reduced charges, no character testimony. I want the jury to see exactly what they did." "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." The trial took 3 weeks. I didn't attend most of it. I didn't need to see my mother cry on the stand or my father try to explain why he'd registered 17 shell corporations. I didn't need to hear Declan's lawyer argue that he'd been influenced by our parents, that he was a victim too. But I was there for the sentencing. The courtroom was full. Apex Solutions had sent their general counsel. The FBI agents who'd investigated the case were there. Rebecca sat next to me in the front row. The judge was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. She'd reviewed everything, the forged documents, the fabricated email trail, the scheme to frame me. She looked at my parents and my brother, and she said, "You didn't just steal money. You tried to destroy an innocent person's life to cover your crimes. You betrayed the most fundamental bond of family in service of greed." Declan got 8 years. My father got 10. My mother got 12 because she'd been the one to make the phone call to the FBI suggesting they investigate me. When the bailiff led them out of the courtroom, my mother turned and looked at me. She didn't look angry. She looked confused, like she genuinely couldn't understand how this had happened. I didn't look away. I'd spent 14 years being invisible. 14 years being the daughter who didn't matter. 14 years believing that maybe, if I was smart enough, successful enough, useful enough, they'd finally see me. They'd seen me. They'd just never valued what they saw. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca turned to me. "How are you feeling?" I thought about it. "Tired." "That's fair. Do you have someone to talk to? A therapist, a friend?" "I'll be okay." She squeezed my shoulder. "Ian, you know, in 20 years of practicing law, I've never seen someone maintain the kind of documentation you provided. Those audit trails saved your career. Probably your life." I'd spent 8 years building those trails. 8 years swiping my badge, signing my reports, keeping meticulous records. I'd done it because it was my job. Because I was good at my job. Because my job was the one place where being thorough and detail-oriented and impossibly precise was valued instead of mocked. I'd built my own alibi without knowing I'd need it. 6 months later, I got a letter. It came to my apartment in a prison envelope with my father's inmate number in the corner. I almost threw it away. I stood at my kitchen counter with the envelope in my hand for 10 minutes. Then I opened it. The letter was 2 pages, single-spaced. His handwriting was shakier than I remembered. He told me he was sorry. He told me my mother was having a hard time in prison, that she cried every night, that she missed me. He told me Declan was in protective custody because he'd gotten in a fight with another inmate. He told me they were a family, and families forgive each other, and wouldn't I please consider writing back, visiting, helping them appeal their sentences. He told me I was their daughter and I owed them that much. I read it twice. Then I fed it into my paper shredder. I watched the strips fall into the bin like confetti. I didn't owe them anything. I'd spent 14 years thinking I owed them gratitude for raising me, obedience for housing me, money for feeding me. I'd spent 14 years believing that family meant sacrifice, that love meant staying silent, that being a good daughter meant accepting whatever crumbs they decided to throw me. But family isn't people who withdraw your college acceptance behind your back. Family isn't people who steal your identity to commit federal crimes. Family isn't people who'd rather see you in prison than admit their own guilt. Family is people who call you back after your mother lies to them. Family is the dean who listened when I finally found the courage to contact her again at 19. Family is the judge who granted my emancipation petition when I was barely old enough to file one. Family is Rebecca Chu, who took my case pro bono because she believed me. Family is David Chen, who didn't fire me when my name showed up in a federal investigation. Family is chosen. I'm 32 now. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park with a view of the lake and a cat named Justice. I made junior partner at Becker and Rhodes last month. I have corner office. I have a secure private line. I have a salary that would have seemed impossible to the 18-year-old girl scrubbing tables at Rosie's Diner. And I have something else. Last week, I got an email from Yale. Dean Harmon had retired, but her successor had found a note in my file. A note she'd written in 2010 after I'd called her back, after I'd gotten myself emancipated and asked if the scholarship was still available. After she'd said yes and personally walked my reinstatement through the admissions committee. The note said, "This young woman has already overcome more than most of our students will face in a lifetime. She will do extraordinary things. Make sure we don't lose her again." I'd graduated summa cum laude. I'd finished in 3.5 years because I took summer classes and winter intersessions. I'd worked 2 part-time jobs the entire time because even with a full scholarship, I needed money for books and food and the kind of professional clothes you need for networking events. I'd done it alone, and I'd done it anyway. If you're watching this and you've ever been told you're not good enough, if you've ever been the invisible one, the disposable one, the one whose dreams didn't matter, I need you to know something. Silence isn't love. Silence is what people demand when the truth makes them uncomfortable. You don't need anyone's permission to want more. You don't need anyone's approval to leave. You don't need anyone's forgiveness to build a life they said you'd never have. If you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to protect you in order to protect yourself, type "I walked away" in the comments. Or if you chose to stay and build boundaries that no one could cross, type "I built walls." Both are survival. Both are strength. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. It's 7:23 a.m. now, the same time it was when I got that FBI email 5 years ago. I'm standing in my kitchen making coffee. Outside my window, Lake Michigan is turning gold with sunrise. My badge is on the counter next to my keys. My calendar shows 3 depositions today, a client meeting at 4, dinner with Rebecca at 7. Everything is different. Everything is mine. I pick up my coffee. I watch the lights spread across the water. I think about the girl I was at 18, terrified, powerless, convinced she'd lost her only chance. I wish I could tell her what I know now. You didn't lose your chance. They tried to take it. There's a difference. And the truth, the real, unshakable truth, is that they never had the power to stop you. They only had the power you gave them. I stopped giving them power 14 years ago. I'm never giving it back.